Hi guys, welcome to Kpop Talks. I'm your host. Today we're doing our weekly K-pop recap of November 2023. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to record, so let's get right into it without wasting much more time. First we have A-Team with War Cry, sorry. I think it's a solid track overall. Pretty aggressive, standard K-pop in a sense. I think it's in line with what A-Team has been doing, so it's a decent track, hits hard. I like the aggressive production and the contrast with more of sweet vocals, so I really enjoy it overall. Crush with Ego. Crush has been, he didn't drop really much music the last year and a half. He's back with a really good album, and this song is really good as well. I just love how much he has grown as an artist. I really understand his strengths. He's what makes him a great artist through and through. Not just his vocals and his production choices, but also the way he conveys emotion and whatever he thinks through his lyrics. He's obviously a guy who thinks a lot, who's a thoughtful artist, and just throw things around just for the sake of throwing them. He believes what he talks about, and there's an element of honesty that comes through, even when stuff, specifically in K-pop, can come sometimes as overly fabricated. He's able, in my opinion, to really shine through and really come through very honest more often than not. And I think that's a very important skill in the industry to have. Next, if the boys would watch it, this is more of a standard 4th generation K-pop banger. Not my favorite The Boys track. I think The Boys has been a group that had done a lot of different things, always in that sphere, but always been very themselves. So I wish they kind of went a different direction. Don't like the chorus as much, so the song for me is overall pretty forgettable. I've heard better stuff from The Boys in general in the last 2 years, last year really. So this type of track just is like, whatever. It's pretty skippable in my opinion. Next is Vix with Amnesia. This is just Vix through and through. These very interesting productions that go from more of a mellow to more of an aggressive production in the span of seconds. The vocals that can switch from one thing to the other. Very interesting concept as always. Obviously, Anna has not been able to be part of this comeback because he had other schedules conflicts, and they didn't want to push back with the album release again for another 3 months or something, so they did that anyway. Overall, the song is pretty good, and again, I think Vix showcases a certain level of master of their craft, master of their craft that I don't think you really see a lot in this genre. They don't need much, and they're able still to do a lot more than most of these guys that need these overproduced songs, like singles to get really through. And you can tell that Vix doesn't really need much to really, I think, release an effectively interesting song, that really stands out even in these times, and not in a negative manner. So I really enjoyed it, and again, I'm a Vix fan, so I'm a little bit more biased, but I think it's undeniable what they've been able to do in their careers, and it's undeniable now in my opinion. So probably out of my most recent singles Stray Kids released, Megaverse is my favorite. I found it to be probably their most fun tracks I've heard in some time. Yes, it's still formulaic as always. They still follow a very strict logic that at this point they've been following for years, but at least they're playing around a little bit with it. With the production is a little bit different than what they normally do. It's not doesn't stray too much, but it's a little bit different. The way they approach their vocals is a little bit different. But the problem is the same for me, which is they always follow its same fucking logic when it comes to the music. It's always the same order. There isn't an interest in doing anything different in that sense, and I don't know why, but that's how they've been for some time, and that's how they're gonna be forever probably. And then that's sad because Twice had that problem for a very long time. To an extent they have it now, but it's not as bad as it was in 2017 or 2018. Now it's like you go into a Stray Kids single, you already know how it goes. Sorry, and for an extent, I think for some aspects that's good, but I think in general it's not, because you want to also have a certain level of unpredictability when you go into a single, and you never really get that from Stray Kids, which is kind of worrisome since they are a 5-year group. It's not like they've been on for 10 years, and it feels like they're already kind of behind a lot of the other guys in this industry, which I don't think it's a good thing. Next we have Bang It Down with Can't Wait. This is more of a classic style of K-pop song, really 2nd generation. Simple production, very R&B, very Taeyang like mainly focuses a love song, and it does its job and it does it well. So I don't have much to say about it. I think it's a solid track by Bang Yadam, who's an artist that I think disappeared for some time and now he's back, and I'm happy he's back because better to have him than not in this industry as an active artist, in my opinion. Next, we have MCND with Odd Venture. I mean, this is just a very, very catchy track by MCND. Production is very catchy, the chorus is super catchy. They've nailed it, really. MCND is a group that I like. It's a group that I think is relatively underrated around the fourth generation groups. They have a very distinctive style, even though they play around that fourth generation aesthetic. And this song is an example of that, how they can fuse maybe more like of a serious look with more of a groovy and fun and enjoyable pop track. Doesn't take itself overly seriously, like, and that's a good thing, I think, in a genre specifically where people tend to over exaggerate the seriousness of a lot of things. I like the fact that they've kept it pretty simple and kept it very groovy, as the song would say, and really, really enjoyable. Next we have Taber featuring Yerin of Girls' Day fame with Bing. I think this song is fantastic, really. I love the vocals here. I love this funky, like, kind of R&B style of production. Very, very, very mellow, very sexy. And Yerin is a great singer. I mean, I haven't heard Yerin sing in a long time. She might have done things for like dramas and stuff like that, but you know, it's nice to see her active and actually making music and actually being pretty good at what she does, you know. Which is, I think, a very underrated aspect of her as an artist, because uh, how can I say, it's not something. Sorry, not. I said Girls' Day. Sorry, I meant 15 and 15 and. I don't know why I said the Girls' Day. My bad, Yeri. But she's somebody that did this thing with the volunteers. I don't know why I was convinced it was her for whatever reason. I mean, to be fair, she looks like her as well in the video, but no, it's from 15 and looking back at her, it's not her. My bad, that was a gaffe. Of course, she's not back as well, I think. But whatever. She did the thing with the volunteers, then she pretty much stopped making music for some times. And, you know, she's an amazing artist, and I think her and Taber fit very, very well with each other. So, yeah, pretty good song overall, and one of the best features of the year, in my opinion. And one of the best collaborations of the year. Next we have L with Starting Over. This is a Japanese release from L. Solid, nothing special, I would say. Very, very standard Japanese ballad. Good singing from L. I wouldn't say these, I would say good. But L has never been really a singer in that sense, you know. He has been always much more than that. He always wanted to do other stuff outside of music. That's why I mainly focused on acting. So it's a solid track, but not something I would personally care about or even recommend for the most. Let's have Card with Fireworks. I mean, this really sounds like a lot of early Card music from 2017 and 2018. I love it. It's great. Just Joseph and you know, BM rapping their asses off, the girls singing amazingly, a good like Latin inspired beat, and just good music, good vibes, you know. And I really enjoyed it from Card. I think they've always mastered that style very well. I think because also vocally being a co-ed group allows a lot more of flexibility and creativity artistically, where if it was only a male group or a female group, you kind of would get what you already know. But yeah, I mean, Card is a group that I think not only is underrated, but I think is super underappreciated by a lot of the community members, because, you know, they exist in the sphere, they do their thing, but they don't try to overly chase that success, you know. And you can say probably that's also their company's fault. I mean, DSP has a history of mismanaging people, but I think overall you have to be honest, look at it and be like, you know, Card has had a great career, and hopefully they keep going for another 10 years, because I think they have it in them. They really do. Let's have Crush with Cheat. This very 2000, very Pharrell Williams aesthetic production. Not only musically, obviously, and vocally, but also the music video really reminds you of that. I really like how on this album, Crush really showcased a lot of different styles, from modern to less, obviously, more like older and contemporary. Like, he's done a lot of different stuff, and I think he's done it well. And he's one of these artists that I think, again, challenges himself a lot, because you compare these projects to the one he did before, like entering his relationship with Joy and pretty much stopped making music for the most part. He was doing very different music, so you can clearly tell in this one he let his creativeness go a lot more and do whatever he wanted. So the song is very fun, it's a vibe, and I think it's one of the better tracks of the album. I mean there isn't really a bad track on the album, thinking about it. Davichi, another personal story, another great Davichi track, simple, effective, great vocals, and has a lot of personality. Another underrated, I think, artist duo in this industry, really really good. Next we have Limji with Deja Vu. I like it. I wouldn't say it's fantastic or anything. I think it's a solid track overall. Does what it's supposed to do. Follows a little bit of that trend of like doing the like very 2000 like kind of like EDM style production, very fast paced production, and kind of pairing with like more like mellower vocals. And I think she did that decently. It's a decent track by Lim Juice, an artist that I've grown to really enjoy the last couple of years that I didn't really know before that. So not gonna act like I was a huge Limji fan for a very long time. I really wasn't. Next we have Tama with Maybe I Know. Just another great song by Tama. I mean, he's one of the most, I think, comfortable artists in the industry, in the sense that I think he really understands himself the best. He knows who he is. I think he understands his strengths and weaknesses, and he's comfortable where he is, but not in a negative manner. He understands who he is as a person, as an artist, and that's something you can't really buy, I think. No amount of money, no amount of albums could ever buy you that type of feeling. And I think whenever I listen to his music, that's what I get. A guy who really understands who he is, understands his music, understands his art, and really brings the best out of it every single time. And I think this album is a perfect example of this, in my opinion. Really, really solid program from him, and overall a very, very solid song from one of my favorite artists right now active in Korea. Next we have NTX with Holy Grail. A really, really aggressive, super, super hard hitting song. Just a banger through and through. It's interesting because it's super short, but it doesn't really feel like it, and that's not a negative, I would say, considering the fact that a lot of the other times you hear certain K-pop tracks that are like 3 minutes, 3 minutes 40, and they feel like they should have been like shorter by a minute. I kind of get the different feeling from this. I feel like being like 2 minutes and 57, it could have been an extra minute and it would have not been a problem. Surprisingly, there isn't a lot of repetition, which I think it's a good thing considering the trends in the industry. And another thing I really enjoyed personally about this track was actually the production. Actually, it's a little bit different from what you hear in today's style, and I think they've been able to really capture maybe that, again, a certain type of EDM, aggressive style of production that is sort of very popular in K-pop, and kind of make it their own. I definitely have to question the album release. It's kind of long, but hey, I think better than nothing, Sometimes K-pop groups tend to release 3 songs, which 2 of them are remixes, so I'm fine with this type of tracks. And with these albums that are very long, sometimes even too long, because they're rare in the genre, so I'm more fine with that in that sense. Next we have 3IYE with Loco. I think this is their best release till date. It's a really good song. I love the vocals. I really like the mood. It's a completely different change of style for them, and I think it really works for them. I think where they were doing the more like Latin inspired music, they were kind of on that card wave. I don't think they simply were working particularly well. I felt like they had interesting things going for them, at least in terms of talent, but they weren't really showing that in any sort of way in their music. They come around with this type of music, really good production, solid chorus in my opinion, with really interesting vocals, a different complete mood, really brings the best out of them. I'm happy their company changed their ways after years at this point, and hopefully 3YE can start a new way, like a new part of their career with a newer aesthetic and newer ideas, because I think they have the talent for it. Next we have Junke with Control Command plus Me. A really interesting K-pop track by him in Japanese. It does what it's supposed to do well. Don't have much complaints in that sense. It's a solid track. I don't like the chorus as much, but the rest of the song is cool. Like the production, very 2000, and I think in a way it fits him pretty solidly overall. Even though that chorus it leaves a little bit to be desired. Some of his flows are a little bit clanky, but overall it's a decent track in my opinion. Next we have Big Naughty with Arriving Late. pretty sure this title, I'm not sure. It's one of my least favorite tracks of the album. Just don't like the vocals in here. Don't like the production at all. Just think it completely kills the vibe of the rest of the project. It's by far the weakest project I think Big Naughty has released this last couple of years. It's least focused, and I think this song really represents this type of vibe that I have throughout the project as well. Just an overall very forgettable track, but an artist that I know can do way better, because I've seen him do way better this year and year prior to this. So there's a level of disappointment, I would say. Next, I have Fantasy Boy with Potential. This is their second single. I think it's a good follow-up overall. Another different vibe from the rest of a lot of boy groups, in my opinion. I like the chorus, very 2010s, from like a very specific era of pop music from America. I don't mind it. The rest of the song is decent. It's in line with what Fantasy Boy did before as well. And I think it's a pretty enjoyable listen. It's not one of my favorite tracks. It's kind of like above average, but for a boy group, I think, again, considering how bad the boy groups have been for the most part throughout this year, it's definitely one of the better tracks I've heard. Next we have Rocky with Lucky Rocky. I mean, after leaving Astro, Rocky's back with some music, and it's pretty good, I have to say. Like the very second generation vibe to it, good vocals, solid production. Like the trumpet. I'm pretty sure that's a trumpet. I don't think it's a sax. That is in the production. And I like the overall concept he went for this song and for the rest of the tracks on his album. He has grown a lot as an artist, and I think you can really feel that. That I think him leaving us was necessary for him at a personal level. He was already unhappy in the group for different reasons, and obviously after the passing of Moonbin, he probably doesn't have other reasons to stay, so I think overall he did the best choice for his career. I think his music really showcases why it was necessary for him to do so. Next I have Park Bom featuring Dawn with I. Amazing track. Again, Dawn, I have to say it again, and I hate saying it, but since he has left Hyuna, or since Hyuna left him, he's focused completely as an artist. Vocally, lyrically, he's back where he's supposed to be. Park Bom is one of the best voices ever in K-pop, as we know, and they bring an amazing heartfelt track together with some amazing vocals, a great feature by Dawn that really enhanced the overall quality of the track. And again, it's one of the best collaborations I've heard this year by far. It's one of the best ones I've heard in the last 2 or 3 years. They really do well with each other, and I'm happy to see Dawn again at a level where we know we can get there and he can be one of the best artists in the game. So I'm really happy where he is right now. Next I have Triple I or III with Forbidden Magic. Overall, the song is okay for a debut, but I have to say, what the fuck is going on with that like weird AI filter they did to their faces, man? It's fucking disgusting. This is one of the most disgusting things I've seen in K-pop, and the fact that people are not even talking about it is what bothers me. How can you think it's okay to do something like this? How? Like, they used a fucking filter or AR or something to make all their face look like the same for whatever reason. I hate it. I don't want to ever see it again, and I hope they've read the comments, they've seen the negative reviews and moved on from this. It's fucking terrible. I can't tell who's who. It's actually abhorrent in my opinion, and the fact that nobody's talking about it to me is even more disgusting in my opinion. But it is what it is. Next we have Jessica with Beep Beep. Good track, pretty good. Jessica, it's been years since she's made some music, and I like the fact that she's back, and she's an amazing singer, great vocalist, and the vibe is amazing as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like these older K-pop artists really have a clear idea of who they are. So normally they tend to get into the song, into the music. When they make music, they tend to clearly know their strengths. So they normally always tend to do better. I think than all of the younger ones were. They tend to follow more trends. Jessica doesn't care about trends. She does what she wants. And I think this vibe, this song really fits her very, very well. Fits her voices very, very well, this production. And she delivers one of my favorite songs of this month, and probably one of my favorites of the year. So great job by Jessica. Next we have Dreamcatcher with OOTD. Finally, they moved on from rock, at this point almost permanently. It's pretty much a pop song in every single way. There's some rock elements in the background, but for the most part it's a pop song. It works. This one works pretty good, I think, for them. It's a big enough of a change where they don't deviate too much from what they've been doing the last 2 or 3 years. Actually 4 really. But it's still a change. It still goes more into the pop side, and I'm pretty sure number wise they're doing great, right? Yeah, 24 million. Who would have thought that a more K-pop song would have done them good number wise? I'm not necessarily super happy for the change, because I know in the long run, if I know anything about Dreamcatcher, they'll probably be very complacent stylistically, and therefore they'll not really move on from that as much, and they'll keep doing that for the rest of time. But I think as a song, it's good. I can't say it's bad, honestly. It's just, I mean, Dreamcatcher was supposed to be the rock, it was supposed to be all of these things, and you know, maybe I'm a little bit stuck in my ways in that sense. But like, it's better to do something different than to sound like everyone else. And I don't think necessarily in this song they're sounding like everyone else, but you can definitely risk in the long run to become that, specifically if the numbers are there, if the album sales are there, and if all of a sudden you become a more successful group. Then how can you convince your company that that thing you did for the longest that worked actually is still working, when you do something different that is maybe worse, in quotation, and it does better. Overall, for a song, I think it does what it's supposed to do well. Again, it's a bigger of a change. It's more of a pop song with less rock, less it's like alternative music that it's interesting, and it's still overall a quality track, but it is what it is. Next, I have Going with Tide. Overall, pretty solid track by Going. I enjoyed. I think it does what it's supposed to do well. Great vocals. A very enjoyable upbeat production. I like the high-pitched chorus. There's much to say. It's a solid track by her, and I haven't heard music for some time, so I'm happy she's back, and she's still pretty good. Next we have 24K Plus, which is the old 24K with Roller Coaster. This is very second generation boy group. Very go go lucky. Decent production, just sounds outdated and old, you know. The way it sounds, the way it's produced, it's so old, but it's so uninteresting as well. So, well, I'm okay with it because it's different from what most groups they're doing, from what most of boy groups are doing anyway. It just sounds old, and it doesn't bring anything interesting to the group, a group that had a lot of difficulties already. But it is what it is at this point. I'm just happy they're still making music after all these years and all of these difficulties, you know. Next I have JYP with Changed Man. I don't like this track personally, not because it's necessarily bad, I just think it's very low effort. Normally one thing about JYP himself is that when he does this type of collaborations with like older artists or artists that he used to work with in the past, at least he tends to put a lot of effort into making the sound a little bit different. Originally he did last year with another old school artist. I can't remember the name right now, I'm blanking, but it was another old school artist that he used to work with, and it was fantastic. No, it wasn't old school, it was Sunmi, I think. It was Sunmi. And it's a very good collaboration, you know. I just don't get the point of this track where, you know, you do an 80 track, sounds like 80s, feels like 80s, vocally it's like the 80s, but it's just uninteresting. Yes, reeks of nostalgia, but not the good one. It's just the ones of like, again we're doing this shit. Like, you could have done something different with it, you could have went different directions with it. I get why you didn't, but by definition then I have to say it's pretty much low effort, and I have to call it out the way I think it is. So yeah, it's one of my least favorites of this month. Next is ICU with Anti-Hero, another one of my least favorite songs of one of the worst tracks of this month. Vocally it's bad, production is not good, completely feels out of complete concept. I don't know why this production was supposed to have this concept. It's such a bad production as well. Yeah, it's one of the worst tracks of the month, one of the worst of the year, 100%. Pretty fucking bad. Let's have J Park with Y. I don't like it. Just don't like the production. I don't like his vocal at all here. I mean, J Park is a very good singer, but for whatever reason he was singing in a very sloppy manner, and on top of singing in a sloppy manner, he has autotune on it, which just makes the song sounds worse. I don't understand that artistical choice at all. Yeah, and the production is okay, but paired with some really subpar vocals and I think overall subpar like melodic concept, I think you just tend to have one of the worst songs of the month. Yeah, and it's not the way I think J Park had a great year, but this song is not it. Next I have Enhypen with Sweet Venom. Honestly, pretty good from Enhypen. They went something a little bit more classic in that sense for a group of their style, more classic pop music, meant for the parties and meant for the radios. Overall, the chorus is okay. I think it's probably the worst part of the song in my opinion. I probably like the chorus. I think it's probably the worst part. Vocally, the guys do a decent job, I think. But yeah, it's a fun release, and I think for a group that normally tend to have more of a serious concept, to deviate a little bit from that and go for more of a maybe more like commercial friendly in a way concept, it's fine. And I think they've done it honestly at a decent enough level where I think it's pretty decent. It's if it ended on a playlist, I probably wouldn't skip it. Just not a song that I personally would go back to because again, the level has been so high this year from female groups that I think times when male groups tend to do stuff like this, it just showcases a level of, I think, of non-originality that is permeated between boy groups, unfortunately. And it's not necessarily Enhypen's problem, it's just a problem of the entirety of boy groups, I think. Next I have Vince with Ooh. This is the best release I think Vince has done under YG, easily. Great flows, great production, great voice, and I think the change of style was really needed for him. He comes out very good from it, and I think he comes out with a very interesting and original track. A little bit of rock, some pop in there, and overall it brings up a good flavor to the track without having to necessarily overly exaggerate a specific image. When Vince is himself, he's really, really good. Next I have Amber with Hate Myself. It's just a very interesting and thought-provoking song from Amber. These are some of my favorite tracks by Amber since forever, really. She started making music, these very honest and personal tracks from her. It's always been the highlight of her as an artist. I think that's where really she brings the best out of herself, and this is a great example of this and she kept that consistency. She was dropping solo music under SM in 2016, for example, so you have to give her credit in that sense. Next we have Taeyong with 2X. It's a solid single from Taeyong. Simple production, amazing vocals as always from her. Again, I think with Taeyong at this point in her career, her more interesting music comes from her albums. If you're just gonna go into a project thinking the single is gonna be the highlight, sometimes it's the case, like it was with IMVU 100%, but in general it's not like that for her, like many other SM artists. The deepness of their artistry comes from the albums themselves. So the song is good, it's catchy, there's a decent chorus as well, but the best songs are on the album as B-sides, as they call them in the community. Next we have XG with Hisono and XG. Pretty solid, I would say, drill song from XG. It's probably the least impressive song they released as of now, because of the production. It's too UK drill. In terms of flows, it's very samey compared to a lot of their more recent rap stuff. Also, I don't think when they rap on extra beat, their artists really bring the best out of them, because a lot of them, this is their second language. So it comes off very unnatural when they rap on it. It sounds like it took a lot of tries for them to do this. So go a little bit slower with a left or right type of vibe, and I think that's where the best comes out of the group, in my opinion. Next we have A-Team with Dropkick. It's just simply a more relaxing track from A-Team, in my opinion. More fun, more bright, more colorful, and overall I think it does a decent job at it. And again, I like the fact that A-Team is doing a bunch of different stuff, but not deviating too much from the overall vibe of most groups, I would say. Next, you have DKB with What the Hell. Yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't get this change of stuff from DKB at all. The chorus is very annoying. Production is super, super generic, and a lot of the vocal concepts and ideas are very, very simple and stuff that you've seen a million times. I felt like DKB had a very distinctive style in 2020, and then from there, for whatever reason, they've consistently done different things that are just not interesting, you know. Just they're a group that they're clearly held back by their company and their decision. Don't get me wrong, probably the numbers are better than ever because stylistically it's something that people maybe won't listen more, but for me personally, that interesting rap style that we're doing in 2020, it's something that at this point is that they're just a very generic boy group, which is sad. Let's now moving on with Baby Baby. I mean, it's a decent single, I would say, with some decent vocal chops from the guy. It's very 80s as well. And I think overall this is its job, but it's not something that I personally would go back to. It's just very, very uninteresting. I think that if they kind of played more with the vocals and the chorus, I think it could have been a little bit more interesting also. You know, when you listen to like Japan and that city pop style they were doing in the 80s, what made it very, very special and unique was the vocals and the way they played around with voices and the passion behind it. There's no passion behind his voice here, so that's a big minus for me. Let's have Moon Jung-up with Stuck. Pretty good song. I really like the production here. I like how the production changes in different times. There's different changes of pace inside of the song, different change of rhythm, different change of melodies. Chorus is simple, it hits hard, and performance from Jung-up is amazing. So it is one of the more impressive solo songs I've heard this month, 100%, and one of the most versatile singles I've heard all year. You know, normally singles tend to be very, very simple and like kind of repetitive. He took different stylistical changes throughout the song, and I think that's very, very respectable because that's very, very uncommon in general in pop music in today's era. So congrats to him. Next is B.O. with Mad. He's just in his pop punk phase, so it's pretty skippable as far as I'm concerned. B.O. is a rapper and he's a pretty subpar singer, and he doesn't bring much in terms of passion and stuff like that, so it ends up being a very generic pop song in that sense. So yeah, very, very sad about this song, and it's one of the worst songs I've heard all month. We have Baby Monster with Batter Up. People have been hating on this song a lot, and while I do understand some aspect to why would you hate it, at the same time I don't understand. They were saying like, oh, it sounds like any other YG song. Like, yeah, well, they have a style. A lot of SM groups have a style. JYP groups have a style. Of course, Baby Monster is gonna follow the Blackpink and the 21 like concepts and aesthetics. Of course, that's the YG aesthetic. The song itself is fine. The rapping sections are good. The rest of the song is decent, and I think the chorus is overall enjoyable. Not bad. You know, it's in line with most debuts of the vast majority of K-pop groups from YG. Only Blackpink is the exception where their debut is fantastic. Any other YG group, their debut is okay. Normally we'll see how good they are in the second, third single. It's always been like that. So why the hate? It's because they wanna, Blackpink fans just wanna hate on anything related to YG that it's not Blackpink. So they're gonna hate on the rookie group that has done 100 million views in less than a month, that has sold a pretty good amount of records, that is charting pretty high, and instead of supporting the girls like true K-pop fans, they're just hating on them because they're the future. They're just the future. And even though you might not like them, that's who they are. So the song is fine overall. I just think the hate about it just is very, very weird, and there's more towards this than towards NMIX's debut, which was terrible. So whatever. Next we have Dino with Wait. It's pretty bad overall, I would say. It has no soul, no passion. Vocally he's okay, but there's so much like effects on his voice that you can't really tell if he's actually good or not. Yeah, this is a very, very lackluster single in every single aspect, I would say. Production wise is not terrible, and certain flows he goes for are not terrible, but the overall structure of the song, the overall song itself is extremely forgettable. And there's a very talented artist, but there's a Tribe with Papa Noel. It's just a fucking Christmas song that is trying to go trending on TikTok for whatever reason. Yeah, I hate my life, man. Next you have Ooh with Where's My Love, I think. Pretty good song. I actually really like it. She's an artist that I didn't know who she was. I'm not gonna act like I was a fan of her. I had no idea who she was before that, but she turned me into a fan. Vocally, it's there. Simple, a guitar, a simple drum set, and she delivers an enjoyable, laid back, kind of jazzy track in a way that is, I think, very fun, very entertaining, and overall brings a different mood to the industry in a genre where everybody's trying to go super fast, even musically. The fact that she's going in a different direction really, and she does it well, I think it's a great point in her favor. And vocally, she is very, very good compared to most of other, even active idols today. Kang Daniel with Rebel. This is a Japanese release. Another pop punk song. It's better than Bio's because he's actually singing well. Production wise, it's actually good. It's at the end of the day on par with most songs you would hear in the early 2000s. Of course, it's not particularly original, but in terms of actual execution, it's executed well. But out of everything Kang Daniel has released since being a solo artist, by far this is my least favorite release of his, simply because I think when he does this very stuff like this, even though I'm pretty sure he wants to do stuff like that, it comes off more generic to when he does like a Wasteland or stuff like that, where he's still tapping into a very mainstream style of music, but he's doing it in a more original way. But overall, for a pop punk song from a K-pop idol, it's quality. I can't deny that. Next you have Ensign with Star. I mean, pretty forgettable. It's not particularly high quality either. Not the chorus, not the vocals, not even the production really. I think this is a Japanese release for them, but it's pretty forgettable. I get they were trying to go with the Japanese vibe, with the production and everything, but you have to have a flair. One thing that these JVO groups do are always chorus singing. Have them all sing together in certain parts of the song, or like 3 or 4 people singing together. I don't know why in Kpop they don't really do it as much, especially for bigger groups. It's more of an individualistic thing, I get it, but like, give those type of artists, they come off better. Overall, it's a very forgettable track. It's one of the worst releases though I've heard this month, unfortunately. Next you have Maeve with What's My Name. It's a pretty good song. The rapping is fine, production is fine. It's overall a pretty enjoyable track. I think the album is better than the single itself. The single is very boring compared to the rest of the project, even though it's a shorter EP. It still does, I think, a good job at like delivering quality tracks overall that showcase a certain level of the introduction for a lot of the newer fans. I think people criticize the fact that they're like animated idols, but they're real people, they're not AI. Yeah, that's something important to remember. And last but not least, we have One Pact with I Wish. Overall, it's fine. The production is good. I think it's, again, standard K-pop for generation, but it's good. Vocals are very good, I would say. And I like how natural they are. They're not forcing them to sing these super high-pitched vocals or showcasing this insane range they don't have. Overall, the song does a decent job at doing what it's supposed to do. Single, being fun, probably pumping through the radios in Korea, with good quality singing, good melodies without asking too much from the others, trying to make them do something they can't. So respect in a sense from their company to understand the strength of their idols and not forcing some weird shit. Actually, there's one more song I forgot to talk about, so here we are. Next we have 80s with Crazy Form. It's not my thing. It's still their style. They have this distinctive aesthetic and concept they go for. It's just a group that I really can't get into, they're like my version of Icon prior to their change of style with Love Scenario and Killing Me, which I really enjoyed that stuff that they were doing. But that early Icon, when they were doing the hip hop stuff, I just never really got into them. And for me, 80s is the same. I can't deny the quality. I've enjoyed some of their albums. I even put them in my past top albums of Middle East or at the end of the year. But this year specifically, not this year, but in general, I just can't really be a huge fan of them. Just, they're fine. They're good, but I'm not a fan of them. I just can't get into it. But aesthetically, they have their style. They're one of the most recognizable fourth generation K-pop groups. It's not like they're doing anything revolutionary in that genre, but they're doing it their own way, and that's good to have very distinctive aesthetic choices in your music, specifically in a saturated genre like K-pop, and stand out. That's the most important thing. I think 80s does that very well. And this was it for a super long video of November 2023, the recaps. This was the last week. This was such a long video. We had like 50 something songs to talk about. It was infinite. Obviously, we can start telling what are my favorite songs of this month, which you're gonna see in the video of the best K-pop songs of November. But let's give a little bit of introduction, like over a recap of the month. Obviously, Jungkook Standing Next to You is one of his better tracks. In fact, his better track. I would say, what else we have here? I would say 8, Independent Woman. Definitely. The Smoke remix with all the rappers was good. Kim Feel with Life. Young J Do It. Cho with Hitchhiker. Zero Base One with Crush. Kiss of Life, Bad News. Sujin with Agassi. I would say Minwa featuring Zico. It's pretty good. Forestella Snow Globe. Red Dead the Chill Kill, It's Growing on Me, Crush Ego, Vic's Amnesia, obviously, MCD Adventure, Taber being featuring Beckerin, Limji with Deja Vu, Taba, Baby I Know, Taba is the place that sells kebab next to my house, Tama, Baby I Know, Fantasy Boys Potential, It's Fine, Park Bomb featuring Dawn with I, absolutely, Dreamcatcher, OOTD, Going with Tide. I would say Ember with I and Myself. Antium Dropkick. Moonjung Up. Stuck. Maybe Monster Batter Up. Ooh. Definitely. And then I would say Maeve to end the month. So there's a lot of songs I've enjoyed. Not as many that I hated. There's been some bad songs this month. They'll be part of a video. Definitely shorter than the ones that I liked. But overall, I thought it was a good month. And this next week, you're still going to start getting the best albums of the year, the worst albums of the year, the best songs, the worst songs. And this week, I'm going to start writing about the year of 2023 and how it went and all the highs and lows. It's going to be a long video, but hopefully it's going to come out well. And it's probably going to come out right at the end of the year, so 30th. Of December 31st, you're gonna get the video right going into the start of January. Thank you for watching, guys. Leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe, and see you next time with a new video, which will be the best and the worst albums of November into obviously the weekly K-pop recap of December, which will be half month, and then you're gonna get obviously the other one at the end of the year, most probably. Maybe you're gonna get it early, I don't know. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.